Marie Curie was born in Warsaw on the 7th of November 1867. She was the daughter of a secondary school teacher. She studied in local schools. She received some scientific training from her father as well. Polish teachers were not well paid, and Marie's father could not afford a university education for her. She had to work as a governess. When she had enough money from her savings, she went to study at the most famous French university, the Sorbonne in Paris. She had a very difficult life in Paris, but she graduated with honors in physics and mathematics. Then she got a job as a research scientist. While she was doing her research, she met Pierre Curie. Her friendship with this French scientist resulted in their marriage in 1895. They worked together and discovered radium. In 1903, Marie and Pierre won the Nobel Prize for Physics. A few years later, in 1906, Pierre was run over in the street by a heavy wagon, and died of his injuries. But Marie continued to work, and won the Nobel Prize again in 1911. She succeeded her husband as head of the physics laboratory at the Sorbonne and obtained her Doctor of Science degree in 1903. After the tragic death of Pierre Curie in 1906, she took his place as Professor of General Physics in the Faculty of Sciences. This was the first time a woman had held this position. She was also appointed director of the Curie Laboratory in the Radium Institute of the University of Paris. It was founded in 1914. Her early researches, together with her husband, were often performed under difficult conditions. Laboratory arrangements were poor and both had to undertake much teaching to earn a livelihood. The discovery of radioactivity by Henri Becquerel in 1896 inspired the Curies in their brilliant researches and analyses, which led to the isolation of polonium, named after the country of Marie's birth, and radium. Madame Curie developed methods for the separation of radium from radioactive residues in sufficient quantities to allow for its characterization and the careful study of its properties, therapeutic properties in particular. Throughout her life she actively promoted the use of radium to alleviate suffering. During World War I, assisted by her daughter, Irene, she personally devoted herself to this remedial work. She retained her enthusiasm for science throughout her life and did much to establish a radioactivity laboratory in her native city. In 1929, President Hoover of the United States presented her with a gift of $50,000, donated by American Friends of Science, to purchase radium for use in the laboratory in Warsaw. Madame Curie was quiet, dignified and unassuming. She was held in high esteem and admiration by scientists throughout the world. She was a member of the Conseil de Physique Solvay from 1911 until her death. Since 1922 she had been a member of the Committee of Intellectual Cooperation of the League of Nations. Her work is recorded in numerous papers in scientific journals. Curie's work is reflected in the numerous awards bestowed on her. She received many honorary science, medicine and law degrees and honorary memberships of learned societies throughout the world. Together with her husband, she was awarded half of the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903, for their study into the spontaneous radiation discovered by Becquerel, who was awarded the other half of the prize. In 1911 she received a second Nobel Prize in Chemistry in recognition of her work in radioactivity. Jointly with her husband, she also received the Davy Medal of the Royal Society in 1903. Madame Curie died in Savoy, France after a short illness on the 4th of July 1934. Source: Les Prix Nobel. Thanks for watching.